Stay tuned and let's take a look at the Marvel Legends Disney Plus Infinity Ultron Build-A-Figure wave, Moon Knight. Pow and welcome back to the channel, Dan Who Reviews. As always, my name is Dan W. Make sure you are following me on Instagram at It's Dan Who. And remember, you can now hit that join button and become a channel member as well. Either show some love or join the members club. Much appreciated. Today we are kicking off a brand new wave of Marvel Legends. As in front of me, we have the Disney Plus Infinity Ultron Build-A-Figure wave, and we are starting with my most anticipated, Moon Knight. Now, a quick moment on the packaging. This may be the last Marvel Legends Build-A-Figure wave with the window packaging as we move into this new plastic-free era. So if you've got that sentimental value, you may want to pick up an extra just to keep on card, as it's the end of an era, people. It really is, as we no longer will see the figures inside of the box. But at least we can see Moon Knight here today. And no Build-A-Figure piece, but he comes with a set of fisted hands and then these sort of crescent moon throwing stars, moomerangs, I assume they're called, but it does seem to be like a whole brand new body, and I did enjoy the Moon Knight series, so I'm happy to add him to the collection so soon. So we get the Moon Knight logo there for the Disney Plus series, a little crescent moon on top, we spin it around onto the back and we get an image of Moon Knight, as well as a write-up that reads, clad in the ceremonial armor of Khonshu's chosen warriors throughout the centuries, Marc Spector is Moon Knight, sworn to obey Khonshu and deliver the vengeance accordingly. And then, as always, you get a list of all the figures in this wave you need to build the Infinity Ultron Build-A-Figure. Today we're reviewing Moon Knight. So as I said, definitely excited for this wave in general. Lots of great figures to add to our MCU shelves. So let's kick it off and open Moon Knight. Here we have Moon Knight out of the packaging with those accessories on the table, which don't seem like a lot, but when you consider that this is a brand new sculpted figure, which is completely pinless, I don't mind a lack of accessories when we get a really nice action figure that represents their source material really well. Now, I'm sure when we zoom in, there may be some details that were missing from the show or something like that. I don't know, but my mind's eye of Moon Knight from that Disney Plus show is this figure. So no complaints off the bat from me. It's got some really nice sculpt, and I can already tell a nice dark wash over this would really bring out some of the details a little bit more. But all in all, it's white, it's gold, it's got a little bit of a grey. It's looking really good. So let me move the accessories out of the way. We will take a closer look at them. Let me get the tape measure out for those tape measure people. You can see Moon Knight is just under 6.5 inches tall, so he will fit into the MCU shelf, no problem. I will do some comparisons, of course we will. But first, let's zoom in and take a closer look. Starting at the head sculpt, I think they've done a great job of capturing the likeness of the character design here. As you can see, all the wraps sculpted around that face sculpt. Now in the show, he has glowing white eyes. Not something you can do in figure form, but they've tried to represent that with the whited out eyes, and then there's subtle blue sort of paint around the eyes to sort of give it the illusion they're glowing, which is a nice contrast against the greys and the whites of the bandages and hood. So I like that. Another trick I like is they've painted the inside of the hood a dark grey to create this sort of natural shadow, which makes the white head stand out a lot more. And again, you can tell how this figure would benefit from a dark wash, as you can see all the sculpted detail with the bandages on the face, and even the sculpted details on the hood with the crescent moon, and then some more details going down the side as well. Now the hood and the cape are the same colour grey, which is a nice contrast to the white of the bandages. The hood is glued to the head sculpt, so when you pop that off, you can see that it's one solid piece. The head is on a dumbbell joint, and then the cape is removable. That will come off if you want to replace it with a soft goods cape. There's a peg at the back of the figure as well, so you can plug the cape back in like so. And again, you just plug the head back on, and it does fit very naturally with the hood, but still allows for articulation as well, which again is on a dumbbell, so you get some up and down and you get some side to side. All in all, really like the likeness here. There's things to be said throughout the rest of the figure. I think they've done a great job of capturing that live action Moon Knight look and essence here in plastic. As you can see, this is all brand new, unique sculpt and tooling for Moon Knight, completely pinless as well. And I do think sometimes we sacrifice getting more accessories for a more accurate action figure, and I'm happy to make those sacrifices. I'd rather have a more screen accurate version in plastic than more accessories in a fodder box, but that's just me. But this figure is just really nicely done. They've even hid the articulation within the character design, as you've got that gold armor for the bicep. That's where the bicep swivel is. The arms will still go up way past 90, as you can see. Double jointed pinless elbows that work really well like that. You go really deep, and yeah, just really nice. I do think the figure overall, this is a small criticism, would benefit from a dark wash entirely to really bring out the sculpted detail of the bandages, because it's all there and you can still see them depending on how the light hits it with the shadows, but you get the gold armor poking through. I like the chrome and the crescent moon there with the wraps around it. I like the crisscross pattern here on the wrists with the double jointed elbows, double jointed knees. The boots are a slightly different shade, which make them stand out just a little bit as well. I like the hieroglyphics here on the thighs, sculpted and painted as well, which is really nicely done. You got the swivel up there for the thigh that lifts up and just reveals the sort of standard Marvel Legends leg, so you get decent range on that. And let me show you the double jointed knees. Look at that, he can kick his own lower back all day long. So he does have like a great range. I do think people may be disappointed with the lack of ab crunch, as it is limited, but he can go back more than forward. He is hindered by that little bit of armor there, but still, maybe you could mod that, but it's still okay. I still think you're gonna be able to get this guy in some nice poses for the shelf. And yeah, just overall, I think they've done such a good job of capturing that live action look in figure form, and for me, that's what's most important. I should mention as well, instead of the regular waist cut, he has this diaphragm ball joint. So this is where you get your tilt and your swivel up top, and it does hide it in the character design very nicely. Out of the box, he comes with 2 trigger finger hands, but no, of course, it's not for holding guns. They do articulate up and down though, which is nice to know. It's for holding his boomerangs. As you can see, he can grip both of these very nicely in the hands, and it does allow for that up and down articulation. There is a little bit of sculpted detail in there, but they are like a glossy sort of shiny gold, which I like. It matches the gold on his uniform. What I didn't notice at first though is that you can take these off and these actually combine together. You can see there's a peg hole there, and this one has the peg on it, and if I get my fat fingers out the way, there you go, you can plug them in and create one thicker boomerang, which of course he can hold as well. So there you go, you have your option. And thankfully they include a set of fisted hands, which should come standard with all Marvel Legends for fighting and for neutral poses. I've already mentioned that the cape is removable, but it doesn't exactly hit the floor, so you can't really use it as a kickstand. As you can see, it is that darker shade of grey as well, and it has got a nice texture to it, sort of flowing to one side, but it is soft enough where it will pose. But if you lift that up, you can see the sculpted detail remains. Even on the back of the figure, there's just a lack of paint, but that was the case on the front as well. But overall, you have your option to switch it out. Now let's jump straight into some comparisons as we have him standing here. And first, I want to bring in the comic Moon Knight figures that also have their own capes as well, so hopefully they all fit on the table. So there we have the sort of more modernized Moon Knight, and then we have the Walgreens exclusive Moon Knight there as well. So we have our movie versus comic comparison, and as you can see, the movie one is that sort of off-white, that sort of grey tone compared to the brighter whites of the 2 comic versions. I want to see though if my movie version can use the weapons from the comics, which I'm assuming he can, but just in regards to height, you can see that they're all about the same size. Maybe the modern one is just a little bit taller. And of course you can trade weapons between the Moon Knights. You can see the comic Moon Knight there holding the gold boomerangs, while we have the MCU Moon Knight holding the staff as well, which works really nicely, and he will grip it tight in those trigger finger hands as well. So if you have multiple Moon Knights, you have options for display for sure. Going back to the MCU, here we have Mr. Knight, who is also a part of this Infinity Ultron Build-A-Figure wave. So we've basically got Mark and Stephen here, and as you can see, Moon Knight is that a little bit off-white grey tone compared to the bright white of Mr. Knight as well. And Moon Knight himself is a tiny bit taller than Mr. Knight, but both still contrasting character designs of the same person, different avatars of Khonshu, if you will. It is very nice to have them both in figure form. Obviously, stick around on the channel for my review of Mr. Knight soon. Now this is what I want to see in the MCU. Daredevil, Moon Knight, Punisher, all together for that street level grittiness that the MCU really needs, and the character designs of all of these 3 brought into live action is just so good. Hopefully we see it on screen one day. Staying with some Phase 4 characters, here we have Shang-Chi and John Walker. Staying with some Phase 4 females, here we have Sylvie and Yelena. And to answer the question, can you use this Moon Knight as a comic Moon Knight replacement in your display? Now of course it's going to be down to personal preference, but you can see Moon Knight fits nicely in here with Daredevil and Captain America. Obviously he's a little bit more stylized and a little bit more detailed, but hopefully we get an update Daredevil very soon. But I think he works pretty well. Here we have Frogman, White Rabbit and Tigra, and last but absolutely never least, here we have Captain Britain and Hal, Fire, Hank. So, final thoughts on this Marvel Legends Disney Plus Infinity Ultron Build-A-Figure wave. Moon Knight. What a great way to kick off one of my most anticipated waves of the year. You know I love adding brand new characters to that MCU collection, especially when they're as screen accurate as this guy. All brand new, completely pinless. Now there may be a few details missing, but honestly, it does not make a difference in my mind's eye. I look at this and instantly think of Disney Plus Moon Knight. I really like how the MCU took that comic design and sort of modernized it into live action, and the figure looks great. Now, would I have liked an interchangeable head for Oscar Isaac? Yes, of course I would. However, if I'm only going to display one Moon Knight, it's going to be with the mask on. So really like this. I like the boomerangs as well. I like that we get the fisted hands. And again, like I said in the review, I don't mind sacrificing more accessories for a better sculpted, accurate action figure, and I think that's exactly what we've got here. And if you don't care about the Build-A-Figure, this guy doesn't even come with a Build-A-Figure part. So honestly, I think this one is going to be probably the most popular in the wave, so I had to kick off my reviews with this one. So you guys let me know what you think in the comments below as always, and please, if you like Marvel Legends, check out the videos tab, find the playlist, but most importantly, please hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, don't miss out on a video, and please hit that join button, become a channel member, either show some love or join the members club. Much appreciated. Follow me on Instagram at It's Dan Who, and I'm on Twitter as well. Tweet me, don't be shy, at Dan Who Reviews. And until then, I will of course see you on the next one.